Chris Nicholas, a little new to this group. Apologies for coming in late. I just didn't have it on my calendar. Little background on me. Based out of New York primarily, although I'm in South Florida now. Our company, you don't need a CMO. Essentially, what we do is outsource marketing for SaaS startups. Most of the clients are venture-backed, later stage SaaS companies in a number of niches. Recently, with COVID, we've been developing basically a lead gen system that's predominantly based on email marketing that we've been utilizing with more solopreneurs, typical B2B use case type companies. My own background has been in marketing, particularly having done a few startups and then a more traditional marketing agency. The main kind of point that I want to make today, and obviously we're going to get into email marketing, and I'm happy to answer questions about that. My general kind of worldview of marketing, particularly from having worked with all these SaaS companies, is that a lot of the actual success of the marketing in terms of revenue generated is based on the product market fit, service, the fit with the market. The marketing itself, in my view and what I've seen, has turned out to be around 30% of the results, with 10% of it being really tactics, the other 20% being copy. Because of that kind of assumption, most of the marketing that we do is direct to lead. So avenues, email, LinkedIn, manual sales rep outreach, and targeted ads. That's kind of what we focus on. Most of the clients we work with, we see a marketing mix of lead flow that includes basically 40% of marketing leads coming from word of mouth referrals, your typical types of growth avenues, 25% coming from inbound content, SEO, different efforts people do, and then 35% coming from email campaigns. Does anybody here imagine everyone does email, LinkedIn outreach to get clients. Does anyone do larger scale email campaigns, like in the volume of several hundred a day?
Just add it into the chat if you do. Yes. Yeah, Kimberly does.
Okay, cool.
Anybody else?
Oh, until recently, yes. A magnitude of hundreds of thousands of that.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Chris, question.
So to kind of go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, Chris, question. Like when you start with these, start emailing, is this like a purchase list? Because if they're startups, they probably don't have a big database of contacts that they've met. So kind of where is that? Where's the initiative starting?
Good question. So the success of these email campaigns in general depends largely upon the quality of the list, which can be a challenge nowadays with a lot of people being laid off, especially larger companies. The list sources generally are developed from 2 or 3 different avenues. The first avenue are lead or prospecting databases, the biggest example being ZoomInfo, but there are several other ones that are extremely effective for different industries. Apollo would be an example. Mattermark would be an example. The way that we do it personally for our clients is we'll build a list of companies with a given criteria, whether that's size, industry, products they're selling. Example would be, we look at Preqin. If we're doing like fintech, we're selling into like hedge funds or something. So we'll build the criteria from there. Then there are tools out there, examples being like Snovio, Hunter.io, that take a set of domain names, scrape LinkedIn or search LinkedIn, however, kind of comes about, and then gives you the contact info of the decision makers that you're going after. So, part of it's database building, part of it is prospecting manually, but generally speaking, you're talking about, for most of these clients, building a database that has around 8,000 targets per month. And we've done all sorts of industries, from like manufacturing to, retail to small businesses. And we have only come across maybe 1 or 2 cases where you haven't been able to build sufficient info on an audience. I would say like the most challenging one was like local grocery stores for a tech company in that space. But even that, it's pretty easy to build. Does that kind of answer your question? Cool. Overall, one thing that most people don't realize is that the email marketing is basically ruled by Google, Microsoft, number of the email service providers. There's a score that's attached to your IP address and your sender, and actually some people think it's attached to your company name. That determines how many emails you can send and how many actually get placed in the inbox. This is different than spam or blacklisting. It's basically a reputational score similar to what you'd get out of SEO or like social media, but tied to your individual sender address. So you can't actually, go out and send emails to 10,000, decision makers, CEOs of big companies. Reason being, those, Google, et cetera, they don't want you to, have free access to B2B audience. So you actually have to warm up. What we've kind of discovered from that is basically the main determiner of that sender score, which is not publicly listed really anywhere, is based off of the engagement that you get on particular email campaigns with particular words. So we've written different variables and automated kind of sequences that replace elements of your email and trick the email service providers into thinking that it's a manual email, allowing you to send in mass and in an automated fashion. It's not foolproof. So the way that we kind of back it up is by ensuring that we have replies and clicks on given emails. I'm sure a lot of you are using or have seen emails that are written in this fashion, multiple touch points in a week, right? The, common knowledge is you don't get in touch with people, you don't book a meeting with them until the 5th meeting. We've booked around 600 or so discovery call meetings this year. And I would say around 500 or 550 of those came from the first email. So the common knowledge around multi-touch sequences really only works when you're sending out a small number of emails. The issue with that is with each email you send and with each increased frequency, you have a higher rate of them logging you as spam, even if you don't necessarily see it. So the approach to take with like a long-term campaign is to send an email out like this, which is essentially very templated, very personal, but not too automated in the sense that there's not all these arbitrary merge fields. I know this random LinkedIn connection you have, and there's not a direct kind of sales language. Subconsciously, people are getting tons of emails now, so you should consider in your industry what emails those people are getting, and you should avoid any line that email marketers have picked up. So what we found has worked best is kind of like a casual type of language and approach where you're throwing out a specific value point for that company, giving them a clear opt-out if they don't want to be involved or it's not the right time, and then giving them a clear opt-in where they have an definitive choice that we can make. This is an email we sent out a few months ago, and a client that we've had to that date. For marketing, we've seen the same exact template work in numerous other industries with numerous other types of companies. And I'm talking about almost to the T, the elements of the email and the purposes of them working. And it really generates positive results. If you can kind of see the scenarios here, how many people here are familiar with like Mailshake or Outreach or Prospect.io? Okay, it's essentially how many? Everybody's familiar with HubSpot, Salesforce, Mailchimp, correct?
Yeah, you can put your answers in the chat.
So essentially, what most people haven't realized, and a lot of the larger companies are picking up on nowadays, HubSpot and Salesforce actually are designed only to allow you to send to opt-in list, former customers, people on your newsletter list, people who have signed up through inbound marketing. The way that they send emails is not sequenced in a way that is, workable for cold email, for unsolicited email, basically. So 3 companies, primarily Mailshake, Outreach.io, Prospect.io, and Reply.io, have popped up and basically serve that need. Their email marketing tools, particularly for sales enablement and B2B outreach, they've really peaked in terms of users recently. Essentially the way they send emails mimics how you would do it manually. And it's a very different type of hookup than you have with a HubSpot. So the biggest mistake we see clients make is sending emails through their CRM or their typical marketing tools. That can result in you being basically, blacklisted, like invisible blacklisted in terms of your email campaigns and getting results on them. So that's an important thing to note. I'm just cycling through kind of some of the templates here. This is particularly like a SaaS company. What you want to do with email marketing as a channel is run it as a campaign where you have several different audiences. Let's say you're targeting, let's say you're targeting startups of a certain size with CTOs and CEOs being both, potential clients. You would want to set up separate campaigns in these tools that run for you on an ongoing basis, which results in some number of direct meeting bookings, some number of interested leads, some number of semi-interested leads that you have to nurture. But essentially, you're using the sales outreach as a marketing channel to qualify and generate interest. Most companies we talk to these days are using these types of channels to generate somewhere between 80 and 120 meetings per month for their sales reps, or in the case of smaller companies for actually themselves. But it's basically different than the approach of kind of sending out blasts, in that it's an ongoing effort that's part of your marketing funnel. I won't get into this in too much detail, but essentially there's a number of components within the emails that allow you to achieve high open rates, high inbox placement, which allows you to test and ultimately get an audience. We have materials that we've built as far as warming up and increasing volume over time. This is kind of like a typical timeline in that regard. The testing schedule for these emails tends to be pretty slow, generally, just because you have a week of data. August being a huge down month because of vacations, you can't really hop over those things. But ultimately, again, the email campaigns can generate a large number of meetings without a doubt, but also a large number of data and interest in your company or services pretty quickly. I'll get into conclusions.
There's 2 more minutes. Go ahead.
Got it. Cool. So just conclusions. Not a good approach if you have tons of salespeople. Very good approach if you don't have any. Would not use email to the exclusion of other channels. It's never good to be reliant on something. They can shut down SEO. They can throttle your ads. It can always go in the wrong direction. And with this particular channel, I would always be cautious and, accept what you're getting out of it and, try to stabilize that because it's really how much you bring in over time. Any questions there? And I'm happy to go into any of those individual details.
Yeah, Scott Lang asked, is there 1 or 2 search engines for contact information that you would recommend? In other words, Hunter.io or Seamless AI, et cetera.
Yeah, I would use Apollo if you're just doing general broad prospecting. Very cheap kind of entry price, very quality information. We use it for hundreds of thousands of prospect infos. For LinkedIn info, so if you already have a list of domain names, and I guess I could put this in the chat as well. If you already have that list of domain names, I would use Snove.io. And I'll put in, again, no relation with these companies, but essentially that allows you to scrape and build prospect lists based off of job title info.
Great.
Yeah, quick question. Hey, Chris. I'm actually involved in a marketing automation software company on the side. So I definitely would like to get together with you to discuss that more in detail.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great. Yeah. As I was pointing out, please make time to, connect with other people in the group. Best way, if you can't get if you can get their LinkedIn, great. If you want to try to get somebody's contact information and you don't know who it is or how to get to it, first of all, it should be on the Slack channel or Slack workspace. Secondly, you can always reach out to me. Okay, Audrey, you're up.
Good morning, everybody. Audrey Glover-Dictor. I'm an attorney. I'm in South Florida, but I'm a solo practitioner, but my practice focuses on federal law. So I do advertising law, intellectual property law, and privacy law. And I work with small, medium agencies, small, medium businesses, startups, entrepreneurs, to make sure that you do your legal due diligence before you launch either your business or your marketing campaign publicly, by making sure you are compliant with advertising IP or privacy law so you don't get sued. Well, you can't ever promise never to get sued, but at least we can try to minimize the legal risk for false and misleading advertising lawsuits or IP infringement or privacy law violations. Basically, I review the entire campaign, everything and anything that's part of it, regardless of what it is. I am Latin, so I am fluent in Spanish. You don't need to translate your campaigns for me. I review in English and Spanish, and I review including your websites or your online presence, your social media, to make sure that you're consistent messaging, to make sure that there's no confusion to the customers or your target audience, that they get it, they understand it, is clear, but also you don't get a letter from the FTC or any other agency, federal, state, or local, that would be looking at what you're doing. Do we still have more time?
20 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, if anybody needs me, I'll put my contact information. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Yes, Scott, you have a question?
The attorneys, are they aware of it?
No, you're on mute, Scott.
Just that I'd love your contact information. I used to work with Davis and Gilbert. I'm
Okay.
not engaged.
I'll put it on the chat, so feel free to contact me and we'll do a one-on-one.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
By the way, everybody who is on the Slack workspace should be accessible via direct message.
True.
If you're not on Slack, I encourage you to get there,
Yes.
and also put your LinkedIn in the chat. Okay. Did I say it was maybe Kimberly next? You're still on mute, Kimberly.
My name's Kimberly Sevilla, and once upon a time I lived in a small town on top of a mountain down 2 dirt roads. And my sister and I had to go outside and move the antenna if we wanted to change channels. We had CBS and NBC back then. And one day I decided to move to New York, to the East Village. And since then, I grew up, traveled the world, and I'm a professional business development consultant. I've worked with companies like Reebok, Pepsi, the NFL, Cole Haan. I'm very good at opening doors, getting to know people, and winning clients for life. And right now, I'm working with small to medium-sized media production and marketing agencies, helping them with their sales. And I'm also learning how to bow hunt, because I'm trying to get back to my roots, and I like to garden, and I hate deer. So, if you do need help with your sales or a client who has an ick for sales, I'm the person to call.
Or if you need to kill some deer in your backyard.
Or I don't have my license yet, but I will.
It reminds me of the, the Hunger Games, when you said you grew up in...
Katniss Everdeen. Actually, fun fact, the biggest growing demographic of hunters are females over the age of 50, of bow hunters. So watch out for those.
Their husbands better watch out, right?
Yeah.
All right. You do have 23 seconds. Best
I have
leads?
23 seconds. Well, I learned to talk fast when I moved to New York. I was the girl at the deli where they would ask me what I wanted, and I would say, and then they'd say next. So that's how I learned to talk fast or I'd go hungry.
Exactly. Well, great to have you as a member, Kimberly.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you.
Scott, you are up, and let me start you have to unmute, Scott. Scott Lang. Ready? You have to unmute.
Yeah, it was just a little tricky. I think my mouse is out of power. So anyway, good morning, everybody. And Michael, thank you again for, picking me to get here. I have an extensive career in marrying brands with stuff. Maybe Kimberly can relate to that or others. I'm a partnership and alliance marketing executive. I've held other roles, but that's been the principal thing of nothing happens unless something is sold. So that means putting two people together. My career goes all the way back to the music industry in the 80s. And then out of that sponsorship marketing activity, the Roadrunners actually recruited me in a completely different world. And I became the CMO and executive vice president of the New York Marathon, the Roadrunners, and transformed it from a big foot race with no branding into what you see today, this huge build out with branding all over the city. The light poles in New York were my doing. And then I spent another 15 years marrying brands with things like golf, tennis, and other things. American Century Championship, Michael Jordan Celebrity Invitational, the Ford New York City Triathlon, a lot of work in endurance sports. I'm an endurance athlete. And what I'm doing now is partnerships. I have several clients. One is in the sunglass category, working with athlete endorsements and putting them together with certain properties in his active lifestyle sunglass line. I have a client in the digital space where I worked for a couple of years, Virtual Crowd Media, where we built audiences and was looking for more of a conventional partnerships with agency work. But what I'm doing now, which is my principal focus, is marrying brands, foundations, and academic institutions with something called the Black Entrepreneur Initiative, which is a SaaS software platform that provides over 350 modules of information for everything you wanted to know or needed to know or didn't know you needed to know to become an entrepreneur. It's also got a robust online community, a daily newsletter, a weekly coaching session, a group coaching, as well as private coaching. We also were built off something called the Lonely Entrepreneur, which is a general market platform, very similar, but what we did with Black Entrepreneur Initiative, obviously with what's going on in the inflection point, is take this, build it out to address the unique challenges that Black entrepreneurs have. So that's my current activity.
Thank you. Okay, Chris, obviously you'll go at the end. Matthew Sawyer, you are up. And after Matthew, it would be Victor Lee and then Kevin Perlmutter.
Okay.
So,
well, hello, everyone. Thank you, Michael, for inviting me to sit in and to join the network. So I'm on about my fourth or fifth career. I don't know about if it resonates with any of you, but I first started off in advertising, working on things like Campbell's Soup and light beer for Miller, and I went over to the client side and first in consumer packaged goods and worked at Snapple for a while, and then business to business. And for the past, fast forward to now, about 9 years ago, I left the corporate world, or they kicked me out. I'm not sure which would be the accurate description. And so I started doing consulting first with some startup companies, and then I moved into working for the international companies that wanted to come to the United States, helping them with marketing strategy, go-to-market strategy, and various things. Along the way, I started teaching. So for the past 5 years, I've been teaching at Columbia, a course that I developed there, and also NYU's integrated marketing program. So what I'm finding now is that I'm finding that, as you might imagine, companies aren't really looking to come to the United States. So that's really dried up, and particularly in the COVID environment. So I'm looking to kind of transition. I've had some projects recently where actually through agencies where they hired me to help companies who were clients of theirs, where they didn't have, they wanted to upskill or to strengthen the skill set of their employees. So, bringing in someone with, from a university, wasn't really threatening to them. It wasn't like HR was coming in there and saying, oh yeah, we're assessing your, so I've done a couple of those and that sounds kind of promising. So if I can get some more of those and then marry that up with the teaching, that would be a really nice kind of gig. So,
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. And thank you for joining us. Who did I say was next? Victor, followed by Kevin, followed by Robert Weiss. So Victor, you are up.
Okay, thanks, Michael. So I'm Victor Lee. I'm in central New Jersey, and I grew up in a town similar to Kimberly's where we had two channels, CBS and NBC. And one day ABC showed up, and to me, it was like they'd repealed the law of gravity. I had no idea what was going on. I was totally confused. I drove all my friends nuts saying, where did this channel come from? Where did this channel come from? And they all said, just shut up and watch TV. So anyway, but I know Kimberly probably didn't grow up in Minnesota because we don't have any mountains. So anyway, what I do now is I help my connections monetize their connections. So I have a number of clients I'm doing business development for, and I either bring them clients directly or I tell my connections about them. And if my connections help, connections, friends, acquaintances, and if they help make an introduction, then we all benefit. And sometimes it's for, hopefully for profit, but sometimes it's also just for fun. Scott, I may have if you're looking for more, Black entrepreneurs, I have somebody in mind. He's in the travel space, and he goes by the name Fly Brother. Very cool guy. So anyway, my main project right now is that I have since we're all working from home or hopefully or otherwise out of the office, and we need a fast and secure internet connection, my client has developed a super hotspot. It's fast, it's secure, and avoid residential Wi-Fi clog, the clogs there, and it's terribly secure. Did I say it's secure? And so a number of folks on this call have been helping me look at it. Mike, we're working with Michael right now on doing some troubleshooting from his installation. I've spoken to Mark about this as well, and I think a couple other folks. So we'd be happy to talk to anybody who needs a fast and secure internet connection, or look, if anybody's looking for any particular type of connection, just shoot me an email, and if I know somebody, I'll set it up, and if I don't know anybody, I'll let you know. But so again, great to see everybody here, and looking forward to getting to know everybody. Thanks.
So when you said any type of connection, I assume you mean internet or otherwise.
Internet or otherwise, yeah. Right.
All right.
Exactly. Thank you, Michael.
Great. Okay, Victor, thank you so much. Kevin Perlmutter, you are up.
Hey, Michael, and hey, everyone. Good to see you all again, and welcome to the folks who have just joined for the first time. I'm Kevin Perlmutter. I'm a brand strategist and a customer relationship strategist, and my business is called Limbic Brand Evolution, and we're all about strengthening connections between brands and the people that those brands want to reach. I bring a behavioral science approach into the work to help brands focus on what makes them distinct and desirable and emotionally motivating to the people that they want to reach. I believe that brands should exist to make people's lives better, and I help them focus on what that is all about and how to bring that to life in emotionally motivating ways. And I also help them create stronger connections with the people they want to reach by understanding what makes people tick. I understand emotions, I understand frustrations, unmet needs, desires, and I'm looking for the intersection of emotional motivation between what a brand is all about and what people care most about. I call that intersection limbic sparks. So I'm helping brands focus, connect, and then evolve. And I'm turning emotional insights into a competitive advantage so that they can create those stronger connections. So the kinds of work that I'm doing is with typically small to medium-sized businesses. Best leads include business owners or brand leaders or CMOs that are trying to make sure their business is presenting itself in the best way possible and really understanding the needs of the people that they're trying to reach. So I've worked for companies as small as single entrepreneurs, small business owner entrepreneurs. And I've worked for, as Limbic, I've worked for much larger organizations with 40, 50, 60 employees, nonprofits. The AT&T Performing Arts Center is one of my clients. And my background includes brand strategy consulting and many other things for incredibly large, globally matrixed organizations. Time's up.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you very much, Kevin. Limbic, I guess energizing or at least connecting to the limbic system.
Yes, the limbic part of your brain that controls emotion, motivation, behavior, and memory at the subconscious level.
What was the name of your company again, Kevin?
Limbic, Limbic, brand evolution. I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have two video producers up, one back to back, Robert and then Patrick and then Jonathan Paisner.
Cool. Hi, everybody. Robert Weiss. And even though Michael positioned me as a video producer, I'm a little bit different. We're a digital marketing company first, and we focus on the business aspects of how video integrates into a business communication. So if it's, just by going off of kind of, the branding side with Limbic, right? A branding video is very different than a video for search engine optimization, organic campaign, the video project, we approach it very, very differently. So over the last almost 10 years now, we've produced about 850 videos across every single business objective. And while in today's world, we have protocols for going on site for COVID, which are pretty intense from the New York City Media and Entertainment Office, we're doing a lot of this right now. We have a software where we can have you download an app, and we maintain the professional services of creating video from a pre-production standpoint, capturing standpoint, and of course an editing standpoint. So it's great for subject matter expert content. It's not great for a branding exercise, but for subject matter expert stuff, for explainer stuff, it's amazing quality content. So that's what we've been doing lately. I put my LinkedIn URL in the chat, and that's it. So it's nice to see everybody, and some new faces, some old faces, well, old relationship faces. So
Thank you. There are people in the waiting room who are from a different business, and I need to tell them that, sorry. So who do we have next? And thank you so much, Robert. Patrick Sassow, and I'm not going to say he's a video producer. You can say that yourself. Sorry for that, Robert.
Hi, everybody. Yes, video production is probably the biggest thing that we do. The company is called Loop 7. And we're really a multimedia production company. We're very much the creative end of any campaign. We do video, photography, and music. And we basically can take the project from concept to scripting and the final post-production and editing. We work with a lot of different companies, mainly smaller to mid-size ad agencies, and then also production marketing teams of companies, could be nonprofits, but it's really about the marketing team, and they need an arm that can produce, that can build campaigns, that can add photography, that can license music, can create original music, things like that. We're very brand and story conscious. So ideally we like to work with companies that we could partner with and grow and understand the business and the culture. And we work with a lot of different budgets. Sometimes the companies need very small, quick campaigns to do. We're there. Sometimes they need a big commercial. Sometimes they need to put something on television or web or whatever it ends up being. We also do a lot of conference work, which obviously isn't happening right now. Summaries and expert talks and informational network building kind of things. I'm going to put my contact information and everything in the chat, and that's it. Thank you very much, and nice to see everybody.
Good timing. Ooh. Right. Okay, that was Patrick Sassa, Jonathan Paisner, Mark Dykebold, Scott Shushansky in that order.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you here this morning. I work with companies, B2B companies, predominantly helping them to address some of the brand challenges that emerge with change. So companies that are going through things like, merger, acquisition, divestiture, change in leadership, and that drives a need to for repositioning, or maybe there's a naming initiative, two companies merge and they need to rename the new company. I mean, sort of classic rebranding sorts of efforts. But it also gets into areas of brand architecture. There's some brand management. I've been working with a couple of clients in the healthcare space, the hospital space actually, over the past year. For one, it's a hospital system that has a number of hospitals in their portfolio that are all independently branded. So helping them build a strategy to better leverage their brand across their portfolio of 90 hospitals around the country. Another hospital system where we're serving more as kind of an outsourced brand management resource, as they've got different groups internally that are developing new services, or different areas of the business want to kind of elevate their story, kind of helping them manage all this in a central way at one of the large New York City hospital systems. So the work is, it's pretty much all in the B2B space. It gets into some messaging, naming, architecture, strategy, positioning, and that's kind of my world. And
Thank
I
you.
probably have time to kill, but I don't need to.
Yeah, you and Mark Teichbold let us connect, because he does a lot of work with PE companies. So they're obviously going through lots of acquisitions and mergers. Great. And Mark, you're up next.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Hi. Like Matthew said, I've been through 4 or 5 careers in my day, but currently what I do is, which I've done in the past, is basically market trending, data positioning, partnerships, and it's for private equity groups and investment banks, although I do have some private clients. One of the things that I see is, while there's a lot of quantitative data, and I can really relate to what Kevin said, because the qualitative is very, very important also. A lot of times we look at the data, but we really don't understand what's going on. So, but I do a lot of go-to-market strategy, customer experience, and user experience, and that's pretty much what I do. And I work with a lot of technology companies, so both B2B, so like an example that would be casino security, and a lot of B2B/B2C, so population health, telemedicine, and just learning management. So that's what I do.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, Scott Shushansky, and then I will go, and then we'll hand it over to Chris.
Perfect. Hello, everybody. Scott Shushansky. I'm the Vice President of Sales for the Juris Influence Group. We are a full-service printing company with facilities in Long Island City. We produce a lot of different types of products, from brochures to catalogs to pocket folders to custom boxes, to a lot of point of purchase and point of sale type products. We are working with a lot of Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies. On the real estate side, we've been doing work with companies like Cushman & Wakefield, Jones Lang LaSalle, Colliers, Avison Young. We do also a lot of work in automotive, Ferrari, Maserati, Porsche out of Atlanta, Jaguar Land Rover out of Mahwah, New Jersey. And then we do a lot of work, a lot of what we've been doing during COVID-19 is, we do a lot of signage. We have a large format division. So we've been helping a lot in the healthcare industry, doing work with Mount Sinai, New York Presbyterian, LabCorp, the big blood testing company. So we've been producing a lot of internal communications and signage for those types of companies throughout this whole period. People I really like to meet in reference to our regular accounts are chief marketing officers and marketing directors. From a signage standpoint, we've been working with a lot of facilities managers as we're helping a lot of companies and schools get back. Doing a lot of signage for them. It's usually the facilities managers that have been handling all of that. Last point, we had a great recent win. We just got a job in for 250,000 catalogs from a company called Bespoke Post. It's a subscription e-commerce company where they send gifts. You put in your interest and they send you gifts every month. So they've been doing really well online, and they said, why not send out catalogs to 250,000 people around the country. So that was a great recent win, and thank you very much.
And Alan, did I forget you?
You did actually, but that's all right.
No, I can't forget you.
I'm kind of forgettable.
Not at all. Well, certainly you can't let your clients be forgettable. So go ahead, take 2 minutes.
All right, thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Hi everybody. Yeah, this is also my first meeting, we are a boutique public relations and social media firm based in New York. My partner Karina is in California, so we're bi-coastal. We have an office that we're not really using right now. If anybody wants to sublet space, you know where to find me. But we've been around for almost 20 years. Our focus is primarily media and entertainment clients with a focus on content, products, and companies for kids, Audrey, which is why I asked you about COPA. But we do a lot of other things besides, that includes everything from, we represent a couple of attorneys, represent a winery in California. We actually represent People Science, which is a behavioral science hub. So Kevin, we should talk about that. So we're generalists, basically. And as I mentioned, we do PR, but we also do social media. And, as the world has evolved over the years, we've taken on a broader scope of services. So we do paid content, we do paid social, there's a lot, we do speaking engagements. So we do a lot of things for our clients, offering as broad a scope as we can. So we're looking to meet like-minded people and see where we might be able to generate some synergy. Great.
Thank you so much, Alan, and I apologize for almost leaving you off the roster.
No worries.
I wouldn't want to do that. Okay, so I will give myself 2 minutes. So my name is Michael Bendit. In addition to coordinating this trusted referral network, I have a business called Software Development Resources, and it's a sales representation firm. So I represent about a dozen or 10 software development teams that are very specialized in different areas. So as you can imagine, software development is a very broad area, a very broad field. We narrow it down a number of ways. One is most of the work that I do, or my teams do, is in the marketing space, maybe 50%. We do very well working in partnership with digital marketing agencies because we tend to focus on the back end, the engine, the code. Whereas most of the agencies we work with would prefer to spend time focused on the design, the front end, the strategy, all of the things that bring people to the website. And we don't, we can do design. We will work with them on design, but we're very happy to work in the engine itself. We also do a lot of work with startups. In fact, the people that we're trying to get in this conference room were one of my clients. We took over from a freelancer or a prior company they were working with that was more like a freelancer that didn't really have the professionalism that they needed. And so we transitioned and took over the product. It's an internal operations product, it's custom, and we cleaned it up, improved upon its performance, fixed some bugs, and now we will be continuing to work with them to maintain that product. Best leads for me, as I mentioned, are probably digital marketing agencies, small digital marketing agencies, although happy to talk to anybody who has an idea, certainly entrepreneurs who have an idea and don't know where to go to find the right skills for what they're looking for. And so the teams that I represent, they do everything from, different teams work on different technologies. I have a couple of teams that do mobile, e-commerce, basic web, so content management systems, and then some specialized teams that do things like blockchain and big data. Okay, we're going to hand it over to Chris very soon. I just wanted to mention that take the opportunity to connect with people. Maybe you heard something today that you thought, triggered something in your mind. Jot that person's name down, connect with them, because this is just really a way to meet people, but you're not going to remember them unless you spend a half hour on Zoom and really get to know them a little bit better. So please do take that opportunity. You can certainly meet people via the Slack workspace, which is certainly a great tool to connect, and then get on the phone, because I think that's really where you start making the more meaningful connections and learn more about what people are doing.